Hope your Thanksgiving was well. This Thanksgiving, this year was very, very different. I don't know, a lot of people are having Zooms Thanksgivings. And I know, Bishop, you enjoyed your Zoom Thanksgiving. It was very different. We wouldn't have known, like, there were going to be such thing called Zoom thing. Like, they were calling it Zoomsgiving. That's what they were calling it on social media, Zoomsgiving. And Zoom has really been getting everybody through this year. Like I like to say, I was looking at numbers because I always like looking at different statistics and stuff. And they said over the summer, May, June, and July, Zoom made more money in those 3 months than they did all 2019. Zoom made more money in 3 months than they did all 2019. So it's safe to say that we are definitely Zooming our way through 2020. We are definitely Zooming our way, which is a crazy idea to think about because it seems like 2020 has been a very long year. Been a very, very long year. But that's the beauty of technology, though. Like, technology has really showed out for us this year. And during the midst of this whole pandemic, because of technology, we're able to stream with you all. Because of technology, we're able to do virtual Bible studies, and you got the virtual classrooms, and so you got virtual church. Technology has played a significant part, and it showed how important technology is. But like all things, technology has a bad side. And technology, the bad side of technology to me, it has really fueled our desire for instant gratification. It has intensified our thirst, intensified our hunger, intensified our love for instant gratification. And for those who know, instant gratification is the desire to experience joy, experience pleasure or fulfillment without delay or deferment. So basically, when you want something, you want it now. And that's what technology did for us. When we want something, we want it now. We don't want to wait for it. We don't want no delay, no deferment. We want it now. And that same concept we brought that same mindset into our spiritual lives. When we want God to bless us, we want Him to bless us now. When we want God to show up for us, we want Him to show up now. We don't want to wait for it. We don't want to be patient. It's instant gratification. We're turning to people that we'll pray for something at 8 o'clock in the morning as soon as we wake up. Or, well, I wake up at 6 because I'm just a morning person. But we'll pray for something at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then at 9 o'clock we sitting there looking around, looking for God to bless us. Like, all right, now I gave you an hour. Like, you need to speed it up. We the type of people, we'll pray, and then 2 hours later we spinning around in circles like, oh girl, and I know what you did last summer. Like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for, God? I prayed, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you to answer my prayer, you're taking too long. I'm waiting for you to bless me, but you're taking too long. Instant gratification. And they say technology birthed my generation, which they call the microwave generation. I remember I heard Bishop say that years ago that the millennials are the microwave generation. We're the type of generation to put something in the microwave and just yell at it because it's taking too long. And like, speed it up. Come on, piece of rolls, you're taking too long. Yeah. And then sometimes we get so impatient, we stop the microwave with 3 seconds left because we just like, okay, I'm hungry right now. And then we eating hot food, burning our tongue because we are just so impatient. But I think it's gotten much worse. It's gotten much worse with the instant gratification. I say the newer generation, they'll rather eat their food cold. They're not dealing with no microwave. They're like, no, I don't want to take no chances right now. I don't want to wait for this. But we find ourselves wanting instant gratification. It has fueled our desire for instant gratification, even with the instant communication, like text messages. If somebody sent a text, you expect a quick reply with the text messages. You got the email because now it's instant communication. We want that instant feedback. We want that instant reply. We have developed a zero tolerance for waiting. Like, I remember my daughter, she used to, when she started texting, she used to text me something, and then a minute later, she'd be like, hello? And then 2 minutes later, excuse me. I'm like, and I had to tell, like, yo, relax. I was doing something, but it's like that quick. A minute was too long. Like, hey, I text you, you need to respond today. And I had to sit her down like, yo, you have to be patient. Now, if I don't respond in a few hours, then you have to be worried about something. But a minute is not that long. Just let things breathe and we'll get to it. But that's how the mindset is going now. With instant gratification, it ties to instant communication. So you want that instant, as soon as you send something out, as soon as you, and when we think about spiritual stuff, as soon as we pray, we want that instant reply back from God. We want God to, hey, speak to me now. Come speak to me. Even when we look at this text with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, they sent Jesus a message. Jesus got the message, and he decided to stay where he was at for 2 more days. So it shows that Jesus did not go along with our idea of instant gratification. He's all about delayed gratification, because in the delay, it teaches us different things. In his delay, it teaches us faith, and in his delay, it teaches us the importance of giving him glory. We have developed a tolerance for zero waiting, and it's getting much worse. It's getting much worse. Our thirst, our hunger for instant gratification has rolled over into e-commerce. Now, I'm just doing a lot of studies right now, just building up to the main point, but it rolled over to e-commerce. Our thirst for instant gratification is making companies pay attention more to their shipping policy, because they realize people want their stuff fast. Yes. Faster and faster. They went from 3-day shipping, now you got the 2-day shipping. Now they doing same-day delivery, because people are like, hey, I placed my order, I need it right now. And I want to read some statistics that were gathered 2 years ago. It's regarding shoppers and what they look for in the shipping policy. And I want us to think about how that behavior ties into our relationship with God. They did a survey. 98% shoppers said delivery impacts their brand loyalty. People are more loyal to a brand that satisfies their need for instant gratification the best. Their loyalty is dependent on how quickly they can get that need of instant gratification met. So if I want to talk about a relationship with God, how many of us, our loyalty to God is dependent on how quickly he blesses us? Yeah. How our loyalty to God is dependent on how quickly he'll answer our prayer, how quickly he will step in on a situation. And they said 74% shoppers prioritize delivery the most in their online shopping experience. Now let's bring it to us. How many of us prioritize our timing in our relationship with God? Not his timing, our timing. Because a lot of times we're upset because God hasn't came into our situation when we wanted him to come. But he's looking at his timing, and we're upset because we want him to go on our timing. So a lot of us are prioritizing our timing when it comes to our relationship with God. 63% shoppers expect the standard delivery to be within 3 days. 61% shoppers want quicker delivery times. I don't know, 2-day shipping not fast enough? And 51% shoppers expect a refund if their package comes late. So people are getting upset when their instant gratification need is not being met. Now, can we think about that when it comes to our relationship with God? How upset would you when you feel like he did not step into your situation sooner? How upset are you when you feel like God did not answer your prayer quickly enough? Because in this text, what's your attitude when God finally comes into that situation? Are you upset? Are you thankful? What's your posture while waiting on God? When Jesus finally came, Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." So her immediate response is, if you would have been here, I wouldn't have been going through this pain. My brother wouldn't have died. I wouldn't be dealing with the situation I'm in now. So if we tie, Lord, if you had stepped in sooner, I wouldn't have got a divorce. Lord, if you had stepped in here sooner, I wouldn't have got fired. Lord, if you had stepped in here sooner, I wouldn't have to cuss that lady out. So we want God to step into our life sooner based on our timing? What's your posture while waiting on God? What's your attitude when he finally comes into the situation? And I want to title this text, God's Shipping Policy. God's shipping policy. A shipping policy is very important when it comes to business because it sets the expectations for customers. A customer can look at your shipping policy and they should know what to expect to pay for shipping and how long it will take. So I feel like personally, if God had a shipping policy, it would be very vague. It wouldn't be all details with overnight shipping, standard shipping, express shipping. It would be very vague. If God had a shipping policy, it would read one sentence, and it would say, it may not come when you want it to come, but it will be on time. I feel like if God had a shipping policy, that's all it will say. When you look on and say, man, when is my package coming? It will say, it may not come when you want it to come, but it will be on time. You cannot Amazon Prime God's arrival. You can't pay more for God to come sooner. There's no overnight shipping, no express shipping, no 2-day, 3-day, none of that. God moves at his own pace. And God's pace is consistent. It's inconsistent to us, but it's very consistent with him. We all have a different pace. Everyone has a different pace. There's no standard shipping when it comes to God. So next time you feel like next time you pray and you invite God into your situation and you're looking around like, when is he coming? Just remember his shipping policy. He may not come when you want him to come, but he will be on time. Sometimes he blesses you the same day. Sometimes he blesses you the following week. Sometimes he answers your prayer right then and there. Sometimes he answers your prayers the next month. And sometimes he already answered your prayer, but you didn't realize it because it came in a different form that you were looking for it in. Don't let God's vague shipping details make you disloyal to him. Like they said, when it comes to shoppers, people are more loyal to a brand that satisfies their instant gratification need the best. But don't allow God unexpected, like, when is it coming? When is it coming? Make you disloyal, discourage you from still reaching out to him, discouraging you from building a relationship with him, discouraging you from giving him glory, honor, and praise. Yeah. Don't let God's lack of details discourage you. In the eyes of God and his shipping policy, tracking numbers do not exist. Tracking numbers we love tracking numbers, don't we? When we ordering something, when we be ordering tech stuff, I be getting that tracking number and be tracking stuff down to see where it's at. I feel like one of the greatest contributions to modern technology is the tracking number. It is. And I had to do research, and I didn't realize that it was created by FedEx. Did y'all know that? Yeah. In the late 1970s, FedEx created the tracking number, which was initially an internal process for them. But they loved it so much, the founder was like, hey, people need to know about this because the package details is very important itself. And so next 50 years later, you can enter a numeric string into FedEx, UPS, the USPS, and you can find out exactly where your package is at as it works its way towards you. Isn't that a good feeling? You can see something that's meeting your gratification. You can see it coming towards you. You can see it. There's no uncertainty. It's like when you're hungry and you see your food coming from the restaurant, coming to your table. You're like, about time. I can't wait till I get this food. We love tracking numbers. I remember my wife ordered some Ivy Park. I know she remembers. She ordered some Ivy Park earlier this year, and she got excited because she got an order confirmation. And so I'm like, oh, cool, you got what you wanted. And then they canceled the order because it was like sold out or something. And so she immediately got, oh man. And so a few weeks ago, they went back on sale, Ivy Park, and she ordered something again, got the order confirmation. But this time she didn't get excited. She said, I need that tracking number. Because when I get that tracking number, then I know it's official. And once she got that tracking number, every day you could just log on, track your package, and you could see you just getting excited, like, come on, baby, I can't wait to get this in 2 days. Then you're doing a countdown 1 day, and then you finally get the package. And I'm like, man, isn't that amazing? I wish God worked like that. I wish God, if when we were able to track our blessing, see the blessing coming, and we can track God's arrival and see when He's coming. I'm pretty sure if technology exists back in the Bible days, I'm pretty sure Mary and Martha was waiting for Jesus. They sent a message to Jesus, and I'm pretty sure they would have been blowing Jesus' phone on, like, where you at? Your friend is dying. Your friend is sick, and these are people you love. And so I can't imagine being in their shoes and you reaching out to Jesus and you're supposed to be his friend and he loves you and you basically don't know when he's coming. You can't track Jesus. You can't track God's movement. Because if tracking numbers exist in the spiritual realm, there is no need to have faith. It's easy to have faith when you know it's coming. It's easy to have faith when you can just log on and see, okay, I know it's coming today or tomorrow. Yeah. But it's not so easy to have faith when it comes to God because you don't know when he's going to come. You don't know when he's going to step in. You don't know when he's going to come. You don't know when he's going to answer your prayer. You just need to have faith. Yeah. Tracking numbers remove the unknown from the entire shipping process. And we know that God's shipping policy is that it may not come when you want it to come, but it will be on time. We are not conditioned to handle the unknown well. We get stressed out. It's easy to have faith when you have a tracking number. It's easy to have faith when you know the exact date and time God is going to come into your life. And the exact date and time God is going to step in. Tracking numbers remove faith. If you're able to know when God is coming, it's going to remove faith from the entire Christian life. Because faith shows the reality of what we hope for and is the evidence of things we cannot see. We cannot see the shipping details of God's shipping policy. We cannot see. We just need to sit in hope and expectation, knowing that God is going to step in. I don't know when, but God will never leave me nor forsake me. So he's going to step in and he's walking with me through this thing, even though I may not see it. It's easy to wait when you have an idea of when it's coming. It's easy. And when people ask me, how's the Christian life? Like, what's the Christian life like? I say the Christian life is like walking into the DMV and they don't have ticket numbers. You just have to sit and wait. And the only people that know the order are the clerks. And you have to sit and wait. You know you're going to get taken care of. You know you're going to get your ID picture taken and your license renewed. You just don't know when they're going to call your name. You just have to sit in hope, faith, and expectation. And that's how, to me, the Christian life is like. We know God is with us. We know God is for us. We know God will never leave us nor forsake us. We just don't know when he's coming. Yeah. Mary and Martha, they reached out to Jesus. They didn't know when he was coming. They expected him, though, to come before their brother died. Because they were looking at their own timing. And Jesus was looking at his timing. A man named Lazarus was sick. His 2 sisters sent a message to Jesus. Lord, your dear friend is very sick. But when Jesus heard about it, he said, Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so that the Son of God will receive glory from this. So although Jesus loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days. Although Jesus loved them, he stayed where he was at for 2 more days. Although. That word right there, although, is very key in this text. Although is a conjunction word. It's used at the beginning of a subordinate clause, and it expresses that the action in the main clause is surprising, unusual, or unexpected. So although basically expresses that the action in the main clause is surprising, unusual, or unexpected. So it showed that although Jesus loved them, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days. That's a surprising reaction right there. The unexpected reaction, the unusual reaction. You would think it mentioned Jesus loved them, he would drop everything and go to him. But no, although he loved them, he stayed where he was for the next 2 days. That action was very surprising because he loves them. Lazarus is his dear friend, but Jesus purposely delayed his arrival.
That's right.
He chose to stay where he was at. He had an option. Jesus had a choice, and he decided to stay where he was at. And I want to show, first of all, being a friend of God does not give you special treatment like that. Being a friend of God would not have God working outside of his timing. Everything is based on God's timing. And Jesus knew that this entire situation, Jesus saw the big picture. He knew that this situation was going to bring glory. So he decided to stay where he was at for the 2 days because he wasn't in no rush. Well, I'm sure Mary and Martha was counting down, like, when is he coming? My brother's getting sicker and sicker and sicker. What happens? They say you need to invite the Lord into your situation, but what happens when you send out the invite and God shows up fashionably late? Late to the party. How upset with you? How upset you are with him? Jesus was not in a rush because he sees the full picture and we see a snapshot. He knows how the situation is going to end. He says it. But when Jesus heard about it, he said Lazarus' sickness will not end in death. No, it happened for the glory of God, so that the Son of God will receive glory from this.
That's right.
So the Son of God will receive glory. See, Jesus said that. Jesus knew that, but guess who didn't know it? Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. They didn't know what Jesus was thinking. Nor does anyone else that's around Mary and Martha. That's why you have to be careful about who's in your circle. I'm pretty sure, if you got the wrong people around you, and people that don't really believe, and they see you going through something, they can easily say, where's your God at now? If God loved you so much, how come he's allowing you to experience this pain? If God loved you so much, how come he allowed you to experience this trial, experience this tribulation? But God is looking at things that will give him glory. He will delay his arrival on purpose, just to show you the importance of having faith and to position this entire situation to give him glory. That's why it's very important that when we are waiting on God, it's important for us to not jump to conclusions. If jumping to conclusions was an Olympic sport, I'm pretty sure we will have some gold medals. Jumping to conclusions. It's something about our mind that when we're waiting on something to happen, it goes crazy. And we think of the worst. Because the thing is, when we jump to a conclusion, the conclusion we come up with is based off fear and not faith.
That's right.
The conclusion we come up with is based off fear and not faith. And this happens. It happens all the time. So, I remember when, I know she's watching. I remember my mother, when we first went off to school, me and my brother, if we didn't answer the phone, her mind went crazy places. She thought we got kidnapped. She thought the worst of things because her conclusion was based off fear and not faith. You hear that, Mama? I'm playing. We panic. We don't hear a response in a timely manner that we think it should happen. So how we jump to conclusion in our relationship with God, we feel like if God don't step in right then and there, now I think he forgot about me. I think he don't love me like he say he loved me. And people around you, if they don't believe like that, they will start pouring the same thing into your head. And that's why we have to be strong and not jump to conclusion in our relationship with God. If we go back to the book of Matthew chapter 14, even feeding of the 5,000 men, his disciples jumped to conclusions. The disciples said, send the crowds away so they can go and buy food for themselves. Jesus said, that isn't necessary. You feed them. And their conclusion, we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. So they jumped to the conclusion that what they had was not enough. They jumped to the conclusion that what they had, they were not able to fulfill everyone. Where Jesus was looking and said, no, just start. Because he saw the big picture. We see a snapshot because their conclusion based off fear and not faith. And we jump to conclusions in our relationship with God when we're waiting, when God will purposely delay his arrival. So next time you feel yourself jumping to conclusions, just remember God's shipping policy. It may not come when you want it to come, but it will be on time. There's purpose in the wait. The wait is to teach us glory and teach us the importance of his timing. Nothing can exempt you from his timing. Nothing can exempt you from God's timing. Delayed does not mean denied. Delayed does not mean God is not going to step in your situation. He's just positioning everything to teach you something, to teach you the importance of having faith, to increase your faith. There's purpose on why you're waiting. There's purpose in the wait. The only time I can remember Jesus doing something outside of his timing was turning water into wine. And he did that because his mama. But outside of that, Jesus, it's all about God's timing. His timing, he moves at his own pace. And all because he doesn't do anything on our timeline does not mean that he doesn't love us. Does not mean we're not his friends. He doesn't look out for us. Like I say, he'll never leave us nor forsake us, but his pace is consistent. Yeah. The pace of God is consistent. But it seems like when it comes to God's timing, it always deals with us going through a storm. Because on our timing, we don't want to experience the storm at all. On our timing, we want to not go through, we do not want to go through that at all. We don't want to go through the pain, the trauma. We don't want to do any of that. So we want God to step in to prevent us from going through that, where God will allow us to go through that, but step in during it. God will purposely delay his arrival so he can be with us during the storm. Because that's how you really show if you love us or not. You know, if you really love me, I want to see how you are when we're going through some hard times. I want to see how we are when we're going through some pain, going through some craziness. God is good. God is good. Yes. But Jesus saw the big picture. And his perception was different from our perception of the situation. That's why he's not in a rush on our timeline. He said, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. This is what he told his disciples. But I will go wake him up. And the disciples said, Lord, if he is sleeping, he will soon get better. But they thought Jesus meant he was really sleeping. And Jesus was like, oh, come on, y'all stupid. He's dead. He's dead. But I'm about to go wake him up. Then he said, and for your sakes, I'm glad I wasn't there. For now you will really believe. Jesus said, I'm glad I wasn't there to prevent him from dying. So now you will really believe. You will really have faith. His perception is different from our perception. We think a situation is dead when God is saying it's sleeping. Because God has the power to resurrect whatever you think is dead. You think your marriage is dead. It's just sleeping right now. God has the power to resurrect your marriage. God has the power to resurrect your passion, your purpose. All this stuff that's going on. People are getting depressed because they feel like they don't have no purpose in life. They don't have no happiness, but God has the power to resurrect whatever you think is dead. But a lot of times we want God to step in sooner because we don't want to experience the pain. We don't want to experience the storm at all. Think about when Daniel and his friends got thrown into the furnace. Like, I personally feel like if I'm getting walked down to get thrown into the furnace, I'm expecting God to stop it right there. Because just the picture or just to imagine me going through something so tragic will scare me. And you will jump to a conclusion based off that fear and not faith. But God stepped in once they were already in the furnace, because when he stepped in, that's when people really believed. They saw that they weren't getting burnt up and said, oh, God is real. So when people see you not being consumed by that pain, consumed by that trauma, consumed by that tragic moment in your life, people will know that God is real. People will know based off your testimony. That's why you don't be ashamed to tell your testimony. You've been through something, so what? You've been through something, but explain how God got you through it. No, we want God to prevent everything. First of all, God has already prevented a lot of things from happening to you. All because you haven't seen it does not mean it hasn't happened. God has prevented a lot of things, but all because you think all because he didn't prevent this one thing that you're going through, this one storm that's really taking you out right now, you feel like he's neglected you. And you feel like he's not coming, he's not showing up for you when he will purposely delay his arrival to position this entire situation for his glory. Think about this. Some of us haven't got fired during this pandemic. Some of us have not lost jobs during this pandemic. That's God. That's why you have something to be thankful for. God is always for us. And even when you feel like it's being delayed, that's how God works. He's all about delayed gratification. But because of this mindset of instant gratification we have, we get upset with God because we're comparing his shipping policy with the shipping policy of Amazon, pretty much everybody Amazon. Doing Amazon. People love Prime. You cannot compare the two shipping. God's shipping policy will supersede any other shipping policy because it may not come when you want it to come, but it will be on time. Yeah. So have faith. God moves at his own pace. There's no standard shipping, no express shipping. God will always be there for you. So when you pray, when you send a message to Jesus, inviting him into your situation, you feel like he's not coming quick enough, just know he's going to come. Just keep holding on. Keep having faith. Keep waiting in hope and expectation. Live in expectation, knowing that God is going to step in. God is for you. God not against you. God will always be for you. He's always on time. Don't let God's vague shipping details make you disloyal to him. It should actually bring you closer to God when you're waiting on him. When it comes to living a life of Christ, when it comes to being a believer, being a follower of God, tracking numbers do not exist. You can't track God. You can't pay more for him to come to your situation quicker. He moves at his own pace. His pace is consistent. So I just want to let you all know, remember his shipping policy. Right, type it out, write it down. I want to make a nice little graphic so we can share it on our page. It may not come when you want it to come, but it will be on time. Thank you, church. I really hope this word helped you. Really, really appreciate y'all and love y'all. Thank you.